Why hello reader friends. Today I'm coming at you from the floor in front of my couch because I was going to do a all the books that I haven't read video. However, 3 attempts later I have ran out of memory once, had loud cars going by and screwing up the audio for a whole video, even though the audio is pretty crap already. So there was that. And then my mom called in the middle of filming. So I've decided to shorten this down to the top 15 books on my TBR shelves that I want to read. And yes, I said top 15 on my TBR shelves. And I mean physical TBR shelves. I don't mean Goodreads. I mean physical. I have these in my possession and have not read them yet. And it is less than half the books I have on my shelf and have not read yet. So that should give you an idea why I have myself placed under a book buying ban. The first one of which is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I loved this movie and I've heard really good things about the book, but from people who have read the book, they have also said that the movie wasn't that great. So I'm really curious to see what the book is like because I really enjoyed the movie. So maybe at one point, once I read this, I'll probably do like a book versus movie review and kind of compare the two and see if it changes my outlook on the movie afterwards. But that is why I picked up The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, because I loved the movie. The next 2 books are The Silkworm and The Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. If you don't know already, it's a pseudonym she uses, and these are like murder mystery novels. I did read The Cuckoo's Calling and I really enjoyed it. So I picked up these 2. I have yet to read them. The next one is actually the conclusion to a series that I read a long time ago. I think the first one my mom gave me for Christmas in like grade 8. But at that time I didn't have a job or anything, so I read every book in the house. So I ended up reading it, I ended up loving it and reading the next 2, and then the books just took so long to come out. I ended up in a lull and forgot about the books, and then went to the bookstore last summer and saw it. And that is The Singing, the 4th book in the Books of Pelennor series. I remember really loving these books, so I'm really excited to read this because I do recall that the 3rd book left off with quite a cliffhanger. I want to know what happens next. If you haven't read this, I suggest trying it if you like fantasy. The next one is another one that I picked up because I enjoyed the movie, and that is The Martian by Andy Weir. I was dragged to the movie because I did not want to go, but my boyfriend was like, no, it's supposed to be sciencey and spacey and let's go. So I was like, okay, and then I ended up really liking it. So don't judge a book by its cover / a movie by its cover, because it could end up good, and that was the case with The Martian. So I went and picked up the book, but I have yet to read it yet. I've heard really good things about it. However, I was actually told recently that if I liked the humor of the movie, I would be better off listening to the audiobook of this to get that same kind of vibe. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I have this physically, so I'm going to read it in the physical edition rather than audio, and I'll kind of see how it goes. I mean, I have a rather dry, bookish sense of humor to begin with, so I think I might be okay, but we'll see what happens, and maybe I'll kind of review and see what I think about it compared humor-wise to the movie, and then, I don't know, maybe I'll get the audiobook and give it a listen, but I think I'm probably going to do physical on that one. The next one is one that has sat on my shelf so long it's became popular again, and that is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I remember when this came out, there was a lot of hype around it, and that's pretty much when I got this book, shortly after it came out. I had heard some outlandish things, like people were saying, oh, it's the next J.K. Rowling and everything else, and I was like, girl, that is some high praise. And when I hear praise like that, I'm interested, so I buy the book, but I generally wait a while to read it so that I'm not influenced one way or another by the popular opinion. But this book was recently the Book Explosion Book of the Month, I think either for this month or last month. So I thought I should probably read this now because people are talking about it again. It's kind of become relevant again. and it's not as hyped up as before because more people know what to expect from it. So I am pretty excited about that, and I do plan to read this now that it's kind of, I don't know, relevant again. I thought it'd be a fun one to actually put in my top 15. Next, I have another one that was quite popular on BookTube a while ago now, I'll admit, but I saw it and it was really cool. I haven't read the original series, like I'm pretty sure this is a spin-off of another series, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, someone out there knows, that this is a spin-off of the Grisha trilogy, which I have not read. I did go to Goodreads to kind of find out if I could read this without reading the Grisha trilogy after I bought it. And some people said yeah, some people said, oh, you should read the other story, it's better, whatever. So I'm going to read this and I will know once and for all and be able to answer if you can read this without reading the Grisha trilogy first. The next one is one of my most recent buys, actually, in my last book buy spree, I guess you could call it. And I was just kind of feeling the magic. I don't know, it looked kind of, the cover was kind of springish and it was magic, and I was like, that looks interesting. And that is The Witches of New York by Amy Mackay, and like I said, springish, like it's got little floral details on it and stuff, and I don't know, it just seemed, I don't know what drew me to this in the first place, but it was witches. I haven't read witches in a while, and I was like, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. This next book actually had a staff pick sticker on it, and the woman at the checkout told me it was really good. So I'm kind of excited to read it, but I hadn't heard anything about it really. So I thought I would give it a shot, and that is Ever the Hunted, and it is by Erin Summerhill. And it's basically this girl, she hunts down criminals with her father, and then one day her father's murdered, and I'm pretty sure it's her kind of trying to figure out who killed her father and if there's a story there that caused it, sort of thing. So I am excited to read this. Plus, don't you just love that like forest green color in there? I love it. And it's so pretty, naked too. It's got like that, it's got like a faux leather texture to it, and it's got some embossing here, and then on the spine it's just like gold. So it's real pretty, naked. The next one was actually the first audiobook I tried was for this book, and I was not a fan of audiobooks at that time. So I tried it and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. It's just too weird. Someone reading to me, I can't focus on it while I'm doing anything. I literally just have to sit there and concentrate on listening. Now, of course, I've listened to enough of them that I can kind of go about doing whatever and be listening to it. But I also heard good things about this author, so I decided when I saw it at the bookstore for $10, I was like, well, I should get that, because I was going to listen to it at one point, and I've heard good things about the author, and I still haven't read anything by them. And that is The Sun by Yo Nesbo, and I don't know, I'm excited to read this. I think, as far as I can tell, it's a thriller. So as far as I can tell, it takes place in a prison, I do believe, or it's a prisoner who is just recently released, working on a case sort of thing. So I don't really entirely know the full details of this, but like I said, I've heard good things about this author, so I do want to give this a go. And it was only $10 at Kohl's. I mean, shit, I like a bargain buy. I don't know what these accents are. I don't know. The next book I have is Because I Really Want to See the Broadway Play so bad. It's about Wicked by Gregory Maguire. As you can see, if you know the play, you might recognize this cover. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's similar to the play or not, but I recognize the cover immediately as like the Broadway poster / like soundtrack cover in some cases. And I was intrigued, and so I thought, well, I'm never gonna get to see the play apparently, so I will give the book a whirl and see what it's like, and then hopefully one day I will get to see the play, because I want to see it so bad, and I've heard so many great things about it that I just want to see it. The next one is a recent release, and I actually grabbed it more because the 52 Books Around the Year challenge had a topic for a 2017 new release. What this means is that I needed a book that was published in 2017. And I'm ahead on my challenge. So I was like, I'm gonna need one of these books sooner rather than later. And there wasn't a lot out that was kind of interesting me yet that had came out this year or that I had heard of until this book came around. And that was Caraval. And I don't know, I'm kind of intrigued by it. But if it wasn't a topic for the 52 books around the year challenge, I might not have picked it up. This is by Stephanie Garber, and I've heard some good things about it. I've heard some kind of mixed things about it, and I know a lot of people are talking about it right now. So I thought, what the heck, I'll pick it up. And now I want to see what it's about. Also because it's one of like the newest books in my TBR pile, and I really want to read something new because some of this stuff is like old, guys. Like I've got like old like mass market paperback books from like, I don't know, like the 80s or 90s here. Like I just wanted to read something that was published in like recent time. The next one I do really want to read, and I've had it on my shelf pretty much since it came out. And I loved the first book. It took me a while to get through the second one just because there was such a gap in between the first and the second when I read them. That as a result, the same thing has sort of happened with this one, and that is Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. It's part of the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. I haven't seen that movie actually. I forgot they made a movie for that. I kind of want to check that out now. It's Library of Souls. I haven't got around to it yet, but I did really enjoy that series, and I do enjoy like the little illustrations and pictures and stuff in here. So hopefully I will get to this soon. I hope to pick this up and finish it in relatively soon. The next two are part of a series, and it's Benjamin of Tomes is the reason I bought this series. He raves about it. I read the first one, it was okay. I kind of got some Mortal Instruments vibes, like Valentine vibes for the villain in this series. But there was a lot of unique things kind of going on, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it. So I picked up the next two. That's Half Wild and Half Lost by Sally Green. They are the sequels to Half Bad, which is like a dark witch sort of novel. And again, I don't know, I haven't read a lot of witch stuff lately. And like that's originally what got me into reading like Harry Potter. And I don't know, I've just been feeling some like classic like wand waving witchy magic lately. So these two both go on the top 15 as well. And that concludes my top 15 TBR shelf books, aka the reason the book buying ban exists. And yeah, tell me what you guys think. Have you read any of these? Were they good? Should I just not? Let me know down below if you are watching this, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.